So we go with the flow. Just love me harder, have no mercy on me. Just tell me louder if you're loving me. Just love me harder, have no mercy on me. Tell me louder if you're loving me.
Hello everybody, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Emma. I'm a 19-year-old teen mom to my beautiful daughter, Londyn May. And if you are new, please make sure to subscribe so you are part of the Taylor family. And if you're a returning subscriber, you already know we love you guys so much, and thank you so much for coming back to another video. It truly means the world. In today's video, we are going, we, as in me, are going to be doing baby names I love and might be using. So baby number 2 will not be for a while, hopefully, but who knows, he or she might have one of these names. So be on the lookout. And I also just want to make a little disclaimer because names are a very delicate thing. And on the internet, people get offended, and people get offended fast. So all of these names are great. Obviously, I really like them enough to put them on my list. I am very, very, very picky with names. I do not like common names. Nothing's wrong with common names. My name's Emma, and that's a very common name, and I just hated how many Emmas there were. And I am a very unique, outgoing person, and I just hated there being a bunch of Emmas. I would have loved to have a more unusual name. No shade to my parents. I love them to death. But that is just how I think about names. I think of them as I want my child to have a unique name that when you say that name, of course there's going to be other people with that name, but you're going to think, okay, that's who that is. You're not going to be like, wait, Emma with black hair, red hair, orange hair, Emma M, Emma P, you know, you're going to know who they are. So with that being said, I'm going to be sharing girl names, boy names, and then my more gender neutral names. And yes, any name can be for a boy or a girl. It's just in my head. If I think it sounds like a boy, then I'm going to put it on my boy list. If I think it sounds like a girl, I'm going to put it on my girl list. Pretty simple, right? Well, you'd be surprised. So anyways, let's just get right into the video. I think we should start with boy names. Here's another thing. I like very uncommon, royal, kind of proper English, sophisticated names. So that's another thing that you will see kind of common about my names. The first name is Hollis. Hollis, I think, is an amazing little boy name, very sophisticated, very strong. I actually heard this name because I was watching Pretty Little Liars, and Aria's boyfriend, Mr. Fitz, worked at a college called Hollis. I don't know if Hollis is a real college. I kind of think probably not. But when I heard it, I had to put it in my baby name list because I just thought it was a darling little boy name and it would grow with him. That's another thing that's important to me. Some names are so cute when they're little, but I feel like it doesn't really fit them when they're 30, 60, 80 years old. So that is important, that it will grow with them. Next one is Hudson. Hudson, again, I feel very English, very proper, very handsome. The only reason I wouldn't use Hudson is just because I've heard it a couple times, and I don't know, I don't love it, but I definitely like the name. And then the next name is Weston. This is probably the most out there name, like not typically a name I would like, because it's a very like country kind of name, and I like English proper names. But I do think Weston is a darling little boy's name, and I have a friend who has a son named Weston, and I really like the name, but it just doesn't really go with Londyn and kind of my vibe. But it is a really cute name. The next name is actually what I was going to name my daughter, Londyn, if she was a boy, and that is Grayson. I have loved the name Grayson for years, and I thought that I would definitely name my son Grayson if I were ever to have a son, but now it's just way too common, which I totally understand because it's an amazing name. So I understand why people are taking it, but I know way too many Graysons, and it breaks my heart because I really love the name, but I don't want my kid to be one of a million. So not the name Grayson, but it is an amazing name. The next one is Brooks. I think Brooks is such a cool name. Like, Brooks, like, what's up, Brooks? What's up? Like, it's adorable for a 2-year-old. It's adorable for a 22-year-old. It's an adorable, sophisticated name. The only thing is, I've heard it a couple times and I feel like it's a little plain. I like my names a little more pizzazz, but I do love the name. And then the next name is Knox. Knox, I have mixed emotions about this name. Sometimes I say the name and I love it, and other times I say the name and I just think of like a knot in your hair or whatever. And I'm like, I don't really love that name. But I do think it's a really unusual name, which I like. I like the way it looks. I think it's a cool name. Okay, the next one, which is kind of like Weston just because it doesn't really fit my vibe, but I love, love, love this name, and that is the name Coast. I think that Coast is just a cool surfer guy with blonde hair, curly, tan. I don't know, that's just what I picture when I hear the name Coast. Sounds very California. I love it. I think it's an awesome name. It just doesn't really fit my vibe with how I want all of my children's names to be. But if I ever meet a little boy with this name, I am going to cry because I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so now we are on to girl names. So the first girl name is Stassi. Stassi is fire. It's a fire name. I love it so much. It's so sophisticated. It's so sassy. It's so independent. I just love it. Like when I picture a Stassi, I picture just a gorgeous girl, very strong, very independent, doesn't put up with any crap. I love that name. I heard the name first on Vanderpump Rules. One of the girls' names was Stassi, and she was stunning. Well, she still is stunning. She's still alive and everything, but I don't know. Honestly, I really like the name. Maybe it's a little too short why I wouldn't use it. There's not really a reason that I wouldn't use it. It's not the name. I don't think I'll ever name one of my daughters this, but nonetheless, I love it. Okay, the next name is Saffron. So Saffron kind of gives me running through the wildflowers, galloping through, I don't know. It just gives me very naturey vibes. I love this name. I actually named my bearded dragon Saffron. So, you know, that name's already been used. That's why I wouldn't use it for my daughter. Plus, doesn't really fit my vibe, but I do love that name. The next name is Blair. I think that Blair is such a delicate, sweet, little spicy name. I love Blair. I heard this name on, what's it called? Gossip Girls. Gossip Girls. Yes. And I loved it. I was like, yep, I love that name. The next name is Adelaide. Adelaide, I think, is just darling. Out of Addison, Adeline, what are the other ones? There's other like A names that are kind of similar. I feel like it's the most uncommon out of those names. That's why I like it. I love A names, names that start with A. I think that's really pretty. I like how it's long. I think it's very feminine, very royal. Really like it. Londyn and Adelaide, I don't know. It's just not the name. It's just not the name. I don't think I'll ever name one of my daughters that, but it is a beautiful name. The next name is Lainey. I love L names, so I love Lainey, and I love names that end in Y or have like YN. I just think that is so pretty, the way it looks, and I really like it. It's just a little too plain for me. Like I said, I like longer names. It's just not long enough for me, but I do like it. The next one is Capri. Capri, I kind of like and dislike. When I first heard it, Cameron Dallas's sister named her daughter Capri, and I loved it. And then I was reading the comments, and they were like, really, like Capri Sun? There's jeans. They're like, I think they're cut right above your calf, and they're called capris. Are those the right, or are they like halfway through your thigh? Anyway, there's a kind of style of jeans called capri. There's a Capri Sun. I think it's a really cute name, but I just kind of associate it with Cameron Dallas' sister's baby and Capri Sun and Capri jeans. So that's why I wouldn't use the name. And then the next name is so cute. And that is the name Monroe. I love Monroe. Monroe is just a little bit sexy, a little bit spicy, very sophisticated. Stassi and Monroe kind of give me the same kind of vibe. They're just very independent women, don't put up with anything, and I love it. Londyn's middle name is actually going to be Monroe, but I decided to do May because my grandmother's middle name was May, and I really wanted her to have a piece of my grandma. And when Londyn was born, like a month after, she passed away, so I'm so happy that Londyn has her name and can carry that on. And she was just the most amazing woman I've ever met, so I am so happy that I decided to go with Londyn May. But Monroe was definitely in the running for Londyn's middle name, and I still love that middle name. I was doing a report in college about Marilyn Monroe and if her death was like she just overdosed or if there was foul play involved. And I remember we had Londyn's name and we didn't know what middle name we wanted to do. So I was in class and I was, doing my research, and Brandon was in the same class as me. I said, Monroe, like that's a beautiful name. What if we did Londyn Monroe? And he was like, I like that. But then I was like, wait, what about my grandma? And I like Londyn May more and it just fits her more. But it definitely was in the running and I love it. So who knows, maybe a future girl will have that middle name. I don't know. Okay, next one is the gender neutral names. Yes, any name can be for a boy or a girl, like I've already said, but in my head, sometimes I think of it and I think boy, sometimes I think girl. So that's just why I call these my gender neutral names. And the first one is Brighton. I worked with a guy at Jersey Mike's. That was my first job ever, so it was Brandon's first job too, at Jersey Mike's, and his name was Brighton, and he was so cool. And I remember when he introduced himself and he was like, hey, I'm Brighton. I was like, dude, your name is sick. Like, your name is sick. And then there's also a jeweler that's called Brighton, and like that's the name of the brand. So that's the only 2 times I've heard that name, and something about it, I just thought it's super happy, uplifting. I don't know, it's just like a great name, like Brighton. The next gender neutral name is Maddox. I had a friend and her name was Maddox, and then her middle name was a color. I'm not gonna say which color, but it was a color, and I thought her name, like her first and her middle name, was so cool. I've heard Maddox a few times, but I've only heard it once for a girl, and the other like 2 or 3 times I've heard it as a boy name. So I don't really know. I see boy and girl. I don't know, but I love the name. The next name is Finley. Again, I've heard it for a girl and a boy. I think it's really cute. And I love that it ends in Y. The only problem I have with it is it's just a little too Scottish for me. And I am Scottish and Irish, so nothing wrong with them. I love the Scots. I love the Scots and the Irish. But when I hear that name, I just think green and leprechauns. So, I don't know, it just kind of throws me off. I just think really that. When you hear a name, what you think automatically of it, or like what you picture, that's what I picture, and it's just a no for me. But I do love it. It's just, every time I would say my kid's name, I would be thinking of little leprechauns with a little pot of gold, but it's cute. Okay, now these are some bonus names, and these are names that are becoming more popular, but they're like the unique names, but yet I can name 20 people who have named their kid that this year. So if you named your kid this, no shade to you, I'm just saying. So if you're kind of into more common names that are still unique-ish, but other people will have them, these are the names for you. And the first name is Linen. As you can see, I'm putting the meanings, the origins, the name, all of that. So you can see it all right there. But Lennon, I like that a lot more than Linen, because linen I think of clothes, but Lennon I think is just kind of a cool name. I think of John Lennon. I think more of a girl than a guy for the name, but obviously you could use it for either. The only reason I wouldn't use this name is it's just a little too plain for me, and I don't know, I just kind of feel like it's bland. There's no pizzazz. The next name is Indy. I love Indy. I think Indy is such a vibe, just like a good time, good vibes. I love that name. I have heard it a lot this year, so I definitely think it's one of those like unique names, but there's a million of them. So it's a no for me, but I do love it. The next name, I am sure you have heard of this name before, and that is Oakley. Oakley, I think, is just darling for a boy or for a girl. And if it was a girl, I think I would do Oaklyn. I don't know why. Just like the YN, which I really like. But I think it's just a darling name. I think of Tatum and Oakley, who are the twins, the adorable twins. Oh, I love them. They're so cute. I would just never name my daughter or son that just because of them and because it's becoming a pretty popular name. But I do love the name. The next name is Lana, and I love Lana. I think it is just a really feminine, pretty, sophisticated name. I actually have an editor, so on Instagram, she puts together videos of us from our YouTube or pictures, and she'll like make a little video with music, and it's just the cutest. Her username is HoneyXEmma, so make sure to follow her, and her name is Lana. And I remember the first time she told me her name, I was like, I love her name. It's so pretty. But the only reason I wouldn't use it is because I think of her. Nothing wrong with that, but you know, you want your kid to have a name that you don't associate with leprechauns, or you know what I mean? And that's the thing that's hard about names, is you might love the name Madeline, but your spouse or boyfriend or whatever is like, no, I know somebody named Madeline and I don't like them. Or maybe they don't dislike them, but they're just like, I'm gonna think of my friend Madeline or whatever, so I don't want to name my daughter that. So that's a tricky thing about names. So I hope from this list you got some names that weren't names you've heard of before, or you don't have any connotations of them with people. But yeah, that's the reason I wouldn't do Lana. The next name is another L name, and that is Layla. If you watch Teen Mom YouTubers, I'm sure you know Yasmin, and Yasmin has a daughter named Layla. And I think she's just the sweetest little girl. She's so pretty, she's so smart, she's just adorable. And I love her name, but it's becoming really, really common, so that's why I wouldn't use it, and because she already named her daughter that, so I don't want to take her name. And the last and final name is Callie. I love the name Callie. I could see us using this for a middle name because Brandon and I met in California, so, you know, Callie, that's what they call it. So I think that would be super cute to name one of our kids, like their middle name be Callie. I don't know. I brought it up to Brandon before, we'll see, but I just love it. Even as like a first name for a boy or a girl, I think it would be super, super awesome. But anyways, guys, that is all of my names. I feel like I have great names. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. So I hope you guys enjoyed and got some baby names that you might like. Whether you're just watching this just for fun, or you are having a sweet little baby, whatever it is for while you're watching this, I hope that you enjoyed. And until the next video, guys, I'm sending all of my love and positivity. Bye.